Okay, now I've got that kind of laid back in again where I've got some of my highlights pulled out, and I did use some colored pencil to go back in and reform my lines a little bit so that I know where I want to stay. Um, I'm going to go back and use this Payne's Gray again. Probably just straight Payne's Gray this time. Test it a little bit, and then I just go back in and I start to lay in some of those middle tones a little bit with the airbrush again. You're probably going to start to see some of that snakeskin fade away into that middle tone, and I want that. I want to keep it in some of the areas, but not in all of the areas. Some areas you may want to mask off too with even a handheld mask to help give you a little bit of shape, or spray some areas but not in others. But be careful, it can give you a little bit of a hard line. Sometimes that's going to be okay, but like I said, the way I work, I tend to like to keep things real soft here with the subject matter. There's a little bit of a hard edge right here too. And I still have that frisket there, so I'm not worried about spraying over into the leg or over into the wing a little, not at all, because I've still got that mask there. And I'll just continue this process, and then from there I'll go back and I'll start to pull in more of the whites and erase again into the areas where I'm painting, and then I'll go back in with real dark black paint, opaque black paint, and I'll start to create that depth with lights and darks. But like I said, it's a push and pull process where I've got to go in, lay a little bit of this paint in, right over like this. Then I'll go back in and I'll start to pull the whites back, and then I'll come back to it and lay the darks back in again. And it's slow too. It's a build-up. It's a slowly layering and going back, layering again and doing it again, back and forth. That's the only way to really get this effect. It actually moves a little quicker than you think it does. It doesn't take terribly long. But you do want to take your time and make sure that you're doing your layering and stopping when you need to, and go back, pull out your whites, then go back and lay in more color, so you start to push and pull that contrast back and forth between light and dark. Okay, the next step you're going to see here, you're going to see probably more of the darks laid in, and you'll see some of the highlights pulled back out, and some of that snakeskin starting to actually take shape and form those boots a little bit. Okay, once I go back in and spray those middle tones, I just want to show you that this is really just, like I said, that push and pull process where I've gone in and I've erased those whites again to get them a little bit back. But every time you spray, it's a little bit harder to get back to that white again. So all I'm doing here is going back in and erasing those whites a little bit. And again, colored pencil. Go in and take a colored pencil and make sure that you go back in and start to lay in some of those darks. And I like the colored pencil for this because it does give me a little bit of texture too when I go back in. Because there is that texture with that snakeskin anyway. And you can see what you start to get now is more definition with those whites. The darker areas are starting to get brought out a little bit more and developed a little bit more, and the middle tones now are being developed a little bit more.